The rifle bucked in my hands like a wild animal breaking free, the crack echoing off the granite walls of the canyon until it swallowed the sound whole. Blood sprayed hot across my cheek. Santiago's blood. And for a split second, the world tilted, the pine-scented air turning thick with the metallic tang of regret. "Mateo," he gasped, his voice a ragged whisper that clawed at my chest. "Why didn't you pull the trigger sooner?" I dropped the gun like it burned, scrambling over the slick rocks to his side, my heart hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. We'd come to these Colorado backwoods for a week of hunting, just like old times. Two Texas boys escaping the grind of Austin's concrete sprawl, chasing elk through the aspens with nothing but our wits and a cooler of Shiner Bock. Santiago Ramirez, my straight-as-an-arrow best friend since we were scrawny kids dodging dodgeballs in PE, had insisted on it. "One last hurrah before I tie the knot, hermano. You in." How could I say no? Not when every fiber of me had been screaming yes for years, tangled up in feelings I'd buried deeper than these mountain roots. But now, as I pressed my bandana to the gash tearing open his thigh from where the ricochet had grazed him, my fault, all my fault. The lies we'd both been living cracked wide open. His dark eyes, usually sparkling with that easy Latino charm that made him the king of every barroom back home, locked onto mine with something fierce and unnameable. "Talk to me, Matt," he murmured, wincing as I tightened the makeshift tourniquet. "This ain't just about the shot. It's about us. It's always been about us." I swallowed hard, the confession bubbling up like bile. "I love you, Santi. Not like brothers. Not like friends. I love you the way that ruins everything." The words hung there, raw and irrevocable, as the first fat drops of rain began to patter down from the bruised sky. That was 3 days ago. Or was it 4? Time blurred in the high country, where days bled into nights under a sky so star-studded it made you feel small and infinite all at once. Let me back up, rewind the reel to before the blood and the rain, to the dusty Chevy pickup rattling up I-70 from Denver, Santiago behind the wheel with his boots propped on the dash, humming along to some old George Strait tune on the radio. We'd loaded up the night before. 2 Marlin 336 lever actions, a tent that smelled like mothballs from his garage, and enough jerky and trail mix to outlast a zombie apocalypse. "This is gonna be epic, man," he'd said, clapping me on the shoulder with that grin that could disarm a grizzly. "No cell service, no drama. Just you, me, and the wild. Epic. Yeah, right. If only I'd known how prophetic that word would turn out." Santiago and I met in 3rd grade at Johnston Elementary, 2 brown kids in a sea of Anglo faces, bonding over shared lunches of homemade tamales wrapped in foil. He was the bold one, climbing the monkey bars like a monkey king, charming teachers out of extra recess time. I was the quiet shadow, sketching comics in the margins of my notebook, hiding behind glasses too big for my face. By high school, he'd blossomed into the quarterback dreamboat, girls trailing him like groupies, while I nursed my secret in the art room, painting landscapes that always ended up with a lone figure staring longingly at the horizon. Gay in Texas, closeted tighter than a mason jar. But Santi? He was my anchor, the one who pulled me into his orbit without question. Sleepovers turned into late-night confessions about crushes, his on cheerleaders, mine unspoken, road trips to the hill country for Whataburger runs, and that one summer we fixed up his old man's boat and fished the Colorado River till our skin peeled like birch bark. College split us, Austin for me studying graphic design at UT, Lubbock for him agribusiness at Texas Tech. But we stayed tight, weekends crashing on each other's futons, nursing hangovers with migas and bad decisions. He dated a string of Sadies and Jessicas, each one prettier than the last, while I swiped right on apps in secret, deleting the evidence before he could stumble on it. "You're too picky, Matt," he'd tease, slinging an arm around my neck. "When you gonna settle down?" I'd laugh it off, but inside, it twisted like a knife, because the only one I wanted was draped over my shoulders like a too comfortable flannel. Then came Elena, fiery, opinionated, a poli-sci major from El Paso who matched his energy like thunder to lightning. They met at a tech tailgate, and within months, rings were flashing and wedding invites printing. "She's the one, bro," he told me over beers at our favorite dive, the White Horse, His eyes lit up like 4th of July sparklers. You gotta be my best man. Promise me you'll stand up there and not chicken out. I promised, clinking bottles even as my chest caved in. Standing up there meant watching him pledge forever to someone else. It meant burying this ache for good. That's when he dropped the bomb. The hunting trip. Bachelor party, Ramirez style, he called it. No strippers, no Vegas. Just the Rockies, some venison steaks, and us reliving the glory days. Elena's cool with it. Says it'll be good for my savage soul or whatever. I should have said no. Packed my bags and ghosted. But the pull was magnetic, that old addiction to his laugh, his stories, the way he made the world feel less like a battlefield. So I said yes, and now here we were, miles from nowhere, with fate loading the chamber. We set up camp that first afternoon in a meadow ringed by lodgepole pines, the kind that whisper secrets to the wind. Unzipping the tent, I caught him shirtless, muscles honed from ranch work flexing as he hammered stakes into the loamy soil. Scars from childhood scrapes dotted his back like constellations. Reminders of the time we jumped that creek on bikes, or wrestled in the hayloft till Mrs. Ramirez hollered us down for supper. I looked away quick, heat flooding my face, busying myself with the fire pit. You bring the topo maps? I asked, voice steadier than I felt. Right here, cartographer. He tossed me the rolled-up tube, winking. Lead the way tomorrow. I trust your artist's eye for beauty. Beauty. The word lodged in my throat. That night, as flames crackled and stars wheeled overhead, we cracked open the first beers, trading lies about old conquests. Remember that sorority formal? He chuckled, foam clinging to his mustache. You ditched me for that redhead. Wait, no, you vanished. What was her name? I shrugged, poking the fire with a stick. Doesn't matter. Didn't stick. Truth was, I'd bailed to cry in my dorm, the sight of him slow dancing with some blonde undoing me. He didn't push, just launched into a yarn about Elena's latest crusade. Some campus rally for immigrant rights that had her chaining herself to a statue. She's fierce, man. Makes me wanna be better. His voice softened, gaze distant. Jealousy gnawed at me, sharp as porcupine quills. You deserve that, I muttered, draining my bottle. Happiness like that? Rare as a 10-point buck. He studied me then, firelight dancing in his eyes. What about you, Matt? Who's making you happy? The question hung, heavy as the smoke curling between us. I could have lied, spun some tale about a bar pickup. Instead, I said, hunting for it. Same as always. He nodded, like he got it, and we let the silence settle, companionable but charged, like the air before a thunderstorm. Dawn broke crisp and golden, frost limbing the tent fly like lace. We shouldered packs, rifles slung, thermoses steaming with coffee black as sin, and struck out for the ridge trail, boot prints crunching through talus. The Rockies unfolded like a John Muir fever dream. Columbine nodding in the understory, mule deer flitting through thickets, the San Juan peaks brooding in the distance like ancient guardians. Santiago moved like he belonged here, all fluid grace and quiet intensity, pausing to glass a distant herd with binoculars. There, big boy at 3 o'clock. What do you think? 450 dress weight. I peered through my scope, heart sinking to the rhythm of his breath beside me. Easy meat, but let's circle wide. Winds shifting. We played it like a chess match, stalking shadows, whispering tactics honed from YouTube vids and his dad's old field and stream mags. For hours, it was pure. The hunt stripping us down to instinct, no pretenses, just two souls synced in the wild. Lunch was pemmican and apples under a wind-stunted bristlecone, where he confessed his nerves about the wedding. What if I'm screwing it up, Matt? Elena's all fire and ideals. I'm just a dirt-under-the-nails farm boy. You're more than that, I said, fierce. You're the guy who volunteers at the shelter, who drove 3 hours to help me move last winter. She's lucky. Our knees brushed as we sat, and neither pulled away. His hand landed on my arm, warm through the wool. Thanks, brother. Couldn't do this without you. The touch lingered, electric, and I wondered if he felt it too, the undercurrent pulling us under. By afternoon, we'd lost the trail in a maze of switchbacks, the elk vanishing like ghosts. Frustration edged in. Santiago cursed in Spanish, kicking a rock that skittered into the void. This is bullshit. We're gonna freeze our asses off with nothing to show. I mapped our bearings on the GPS. Spotty signal up here. But the sun was dipping, shadows lengthening like fingers. One more push, I urged. Up that draw. I saw sign earlier. That's when it started, the unraveling. A snap of twig, too deliberate for wildlife. And there they were. 3 figures emerging from the treeline, camo-clad and hard-eyed, packs bulging with what looked like poacher gear. One raised a hand, not friendly. You boys lost? This here's private lease. Turn around. Santiago bristled, rifle half-lifted. Public land, last I checked. We're hunting legal. The leader, a grizzled type with a Fu Manchu stache, spat tobacco juice, eyeing our tags. Tags look good, but we got business. Best skedaddle. Tension crackled, thicker than the gathering clouds. I stepped forward, palms out. No trouble, man. Just passing through. They let us go. But not before the leader muttered something about city slickers and teaching a lesson. We hiked hard, adrenaline buzzing, until camp was in sight. What the hell was that? Santiago panted, dropping his pack. Poachers, maybe. Or worse, meth cooks. This ain't Texas. Folks up here play for keeps. We laughed it off over ramen that night, but sleep evaded me. Curled in my bag, I listened to his breathing even out, replaying the day's touches. His hands steadying me over a log, our shoulders bumping on narrow ledges. Love like this was a thief, stealing peace in the dark. Little did I know the real thieves were closing in. Morning light pierced the tent like Judgment Day, and with it came the low rumble of engines. ATVs, tearing up the meadow like banshees. I bolted upright, heart slamming, as Santiago was already yanking on boots. Shit, Matt. Grab your piece. Outside, dust clouds billowed as the 3 from yesterday crested the rise, joined by 2 more roughnecks, quads laden with coolers and what glinted like illegal snares. The leader dismounted, shotgun cradled casual-like, a smirk twisting his lip. Told you to skedaddle. Now you're trespassing. Santiago stepped out, rifle loose but ready, voice steady as rebar. We ain't move in. Call the warden if you got beef. The air hummed with menace, pines creaking like they held their breath. My mind raced, no signal, miles from the trailhead, us outgunned and outmanned. But there was Santi, chin up, that Ramirez fire blazing, and damn if it didn't make me love him more. Words flew sharp as arrows. Accusations of us being feds, us calling them squatting scum. Tempers frayed, and then crack. A warning shot splintered the birch by my head, bark stinging my cheek like wasp kisses. Chaos erupted. Santiago fired into the dirt, bellowing back off, while I dove for cover behind the cooler, pulse thundering. One of them lunged, tackling Santi to the ground in a blur of fists and curses. I swung my rifle but, connecting with a jaw that cracked like dry timber, tasting blood, mine or theirs, who knew? It ended as quick as it started. They peeled out, engines snarling retreat, leaving us bruised and breathless amid the trampled grass. Santiago slumped against the tent, split lips swelling, a shiner blooming purple under his eye. You good? He rasped, scanning me like I was the fragile one. I nodded, though my hands shook as I rifled through the med kit for ice packs. Yeah. You. Up close, his face was a map of hurt. Not just the fresh marks, but shadows I'd ignored for years. The straight guy armor cracking, revealing cracks I'd pretended not to see. He winced as I dabbed antiseptic on his knuckles. That was stupid. Rushing in like some John Wayne wannabe. Family code, he murmured, eyes on mine. You watch my back, I watch yours. Always. His fingers brushed my wrist, lingering, and the world narrowed to that point of contact. Warm, insistent. I wanted to pull him close, erase the pain with my mouth, but Elena's ghost hovered, a chasm between us. Instead, I joked, next time, we hunt in Disneyland. We broke camp midday, nerves jangled, deciding to relocate deeper in. Safer ground, or so we thought. The new spot was a hollow by a tumbling creek, sheltered by boulders worn smooth as soapstone by millennia of meltwater. Setting up felt ritualistic. Stakes driven with shared glances, fire kindled from damp twigs, the routine a balm on raw edges. Dusk fell soft, painting the sky in bruised purples, and we supped on trout I'd hooked, Santy filleting with practiced flicks, me grilling over coals till the skin crisped golden. Conversation meandered like the stream. Schoolboy pranks, his dad's old Chevy that we rebuilt in a summer haze of grease and dreams. "Remember that road trip to Big Bend?" he said, voice mellowed by the second beer. "You sketched the whole damn desert, said it was like God's sketchpad. I envied that, seeing beauty where I just saw sand." "You saw plenty," I countered, flames reflecting in my bottle. "The way you drove those switchbacks, wind in your hair, singing off-key to Los Lobos, made it magic." He flushed, rubbing his neck, a tell I'd cataloged years ago. "Yeah, well, those were simpler times. No rings, no real jobs, just us against the world." The word dangled, pregnant. I took a breath, the hook lodged deep. "Santy, about the wedding. You sure? Elena's great, but..." He cut me off, sharp. "Don't. She's everything I need. Stable, passionate. What we had. It's past tense, man." Past tense? My gut twisted. Had he sensed it? Known all along and filed it away like an old mixtape? He stood abruptly, pacing to the creek's edge, silhouette etched against the moonrise. "Truth?"
I'm scared shitless.
"Not of her, of me. What if I'm not cut out for forever? What if I wake up one day and realize I picked wrong?" His voice broke, raw as the wound on his thigh from yesterday's graze. I rose, drawn like moth to flame, stopping inches away. "Then you fight for it. Or you choose different." Our eyes met, and in that suspended breath, I saw it. The flicker, the question mirroring my own. His hand lifted, almost touching my jaw, then dropped. "Go to sleep, Matt. Big day tomorrow." He turned away, leaving me adrift in the current of what-ifs. Night deepened, coyotes yipping distant hymns, and sleep was a fickle lover. I dreamed fragmented. Santy in white tux, Elena radiant, me fading into the pews like smoke. Woke sweating to the zip of his bag. He was packing, face grim in the lantern glow. "Can't shake 'em, the poachers. Saw quad tracks at dawn. We're hiking out at first light." Relief warred with regret. The trip cut short, our bubble burst. But as we shouldered gear, the sky split, thunder rolling like artillery, rain sheeting down in biblical fury. Trail turned to slurry, boots sucking mud, visibility nil. "Stick close," Santy yelled over the roar, his hand finding mine in the gray, gripping tight. We pressed on, a chain of two, lightning forking the peaks like divine wrath. Hours blurred into a slog, falls into briars, rocks slick as glass. By noon, we crested a false summit, soaked to marrow, collapsing in a lee of rock. He laughed first, that belly-deep rumble cutting the storm. "We look like drowned rats." I joined, the absurdity loosening the knot in my chest. Best bachelor party ever. As rain eased to drizzle, he grew quiet, staring out at the veil of mist cloaking the valley.
Mott.
"Back there, by the fire. I didn't mean to shut you down. It's just everything's changing. And you're the constant, the one I lean on." His voice was low, threaded with something vulnerable. I leaned in, shoulders touching. "I'm not going anywhere. Best man, remember?" He nodded, but his eyes held storms of their own. "Yeah, best man." The words tasted bittersweet, a toast to unspoken ends. We pushed on, the trail dipping into a ravine where the creek swelled to a torrent. Bridge washed out. "Rope it," Santy decided, uncoiling climbing line from his pack. Heart in throat, I belayed him first. His form swinging perilous over froth, calling encouragements up through the spray. My turn. Hands raw on knots, the void yawning below, and midway, a gust slammed me sideways. The rope bit deep, but I held, scrambling to the far bank where he hauled me up, arms locked around my waist in a crush that stole breath. Safe, we clung there, rain mingling with sweat, his forehead to mine. "Got you," he whispered, fierce. In that moment, empires could have crumbled, and I'd not have cared. But the poacher's shadows loomed. We'd spotted smoke plumes earlier, unnatural in the wild. Paranoia crept, turning every rustle to threat. That night, holed up in a shallow cave, fire forbidden for stealth, we shared body heat under a space blanket, whispers our only light. Stories flowed. His abuela's curanderismo tales, my failed art gigs in Austin's coffee shops. Laughter faded to sighs, and then, hesitant, his confession.
Elena.
She knows about us. Not the details, but she teases me, says I'm half in love with my best friend. My pulse stuttered. And he shifted, breath warm on my neck. I tell her it's bullshit. Brothers being brothers. Silence stretched taut. But sometimes, I wonder. The admission hung, a bridge half-built. I turned, faces inches apart, the cave's damp walls closing in. Santi. A crack outside, branch snap, deliberate. We froze, rifles in hand, as footsteps crunched near. The poachers had found us. The cave mouth framed them like a bad western. For shadows, silhouetted against the moon-pale night, weapons glinting wet. The leader's voice slithered in oily. "Cozy spot you picked, boys. Drop the irons, nice and slow." Santiago tensed beside me, his body a coiled spring against mine. I could feel his heartbeat, rapid-fire Morse code spelling fight. "How many rounds you got left?" I breathed, finger ghosting the trigger. "Enough," he murmured, resolve stealing his tone. No surrender in Ramirez's blood. The storm had passed, leaving air sharp as shattered glass. Every drip from the overhang amplified. They advanced, boots grinding gravel. The Fu Manchu with his scattergun. A wiry kid with a bowie that caught starlight wicked. Two others flanking like hyenas. "Heard you made trouble this morning," the leader drawled, southern twang clashing with the Rockies' hush. "Rangers been sniffin'. Time to pay up or else." Pay up? Extortion, then. Desperation born of lean times or worse, covering tracks for something felonious. Santiago's laugh barked low, defiant. "Ain't got cash for your bullshit toll. Walk away or we make noise. Bluff or truth." My clip was half spent from the skirmish, his fuller but not infinite. The leader chuckled, cold. "Noise? Up here? Wind'll swallow it. Last chance." Lightning quick, the kid lunged, knife flashing for Santi's throat. I fired blind, the report deafening in the confines, bullet whining off rock to clip the bastard's shoulder. He yelped, dropping, and hell broke loose. Muzzle flashes strobed the dark, acrid powder burning my nostrils. Santiago rolled left, pumping rounds that splintered a rifle stock. I crabbed right, squeezing off shots that forced the flankers to ground. Echoes rebounded, disorienting, pain lancing my side where a slug grazed sleeve and skin.
Moth door.
Santi roared, meaning the rear crevice, a narrow fissure we'd scouted for escape. I scrambled back, firing over my shoulder, as he covered. A silhouette of fury, buying seconds with lead. We tumbled into the slot, rocks gouging knees, emerging on a ledge slick with runoff. Below, the ravine churned black, a ribbon of oblivion. "Jump or climb?" I gasped, blood warm trickling down my arm. "Climb, left." He pointed to a goat trail snaking the cliff face, invisible save for his hunter's eye. We moved like ghosts, hands and feet finding purchase in the vertical dance, bullets pinging futile behind. Adrenaline sang in veins, sharpening senses. The grit under nails, his labored breath sinking mine, the vastness of stars wheeling indifferent above. Dawn found us miles distant, hunkered in a thicket of serviceberry, the poacher's quads a faint drone fading east. Exhaustion crashed like a wave. We collapsed, backs to a fallen log, dawns rose bleeding across the sky. Santiago peeled back my shirt, inspecting the furrow on my bicep. Shallow, thank God, but weeping red.
Jesus, mate.
You saved my ass back there. His fingers probed gentle, voice thick. I hissed through teeth. Team effort. You're the one who spotted the trail. He bound it with strips from his tea, hands steady but eyes stormy. This trip has gone to hell. Should call it head home. Home, to Elena's arms, the wedding march, my silent vigil. The thought clawed. One more day, I pleaded. Track that elk we saw. End on a win. He searched my face, something fracturing in his gaze. Why? What's really keeping you here? The question pierced, raw as the wound. Birds chittered matins. Oblivious. I swallowed, the dam cracking. You, Santi. Always you. He stilled, bandage half-tied.
Mot.
Don't. But his voice wavered, plea or invitation. I pressed on, words tumbling like rocks. I've loved you since we were kids. Stole glances in the bleachers. Ached when you kissed those girls. Thought I could bury it, be the good friend. But this? I gestured the wild, the blood, the near misses. It's stripping me bare. I can't pretend anymore. Silence roared louder than gunfire. His jaw clenched, shadows playing over features I'd memorized in sleep.
Fuck. Mot.
Why now? Why here? Pain laced his tone, not anger, betrayal's kin. Elena's my future. This, it's a grenade. Pulls the pin on everything. He stood, pacing the bracken, hands raking hair. I knew, okay? Suspected. The way you look at me, like I'm the sun. Flattered me, scared me. Made me question shit I didn't want to face. Question. The word ignited hope. Fragile as dry tinder. And now, after all this, rain scent lingered, mingling with earth. He stopped, facing me, distance a chasm. Now? I don't know. Feels like I've been sleepwalking, chasing normal 'cause it's safe. But you're the spark that wakes me. He knelt, close enough to touch, breath mingling. What if we try? Just see. My heart seized, joy and terror entwined. His hand cupped my cheek, thumb tracing jaw, tentative, then sure. I leaned in, lips brushing his in a kiss soft as mist, tasting salt and pine and possibility. He responded, hesitant bloom to fervor, arms pulling me close till no space remained. The world narrowed to that. His mouth learning mine, hands mapping familiar terrain with new intent, the wild cradling our revelation. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, laughter bubbling shocked. Holy shit, he whispered, grin crooked. That was. Yeah. I echoed, dizzy. New chapter, or fool's errand. No time to parse. The elk call bugled distant, pulling us back to hunt. We moved renewed, shadows lengthening as we glassed meadows from a promontory. The bull emerged at noon, antlered monarch in velvet, unaware. Stalk was poetry. Bellies to ground through fern, wind our ally. Santiago's shot rang true at 200 yards, dropping clean, ethical harvest, no suffering. We field dressed by the kill, blood hot on hands, a rite sealing our shift. Camp that eve was sacrament. Venison seared rare, fire our hearth. Stories flowed freer, barriers ash. He spoke of doubts. Elena's intensity overwhelming his quiet storms, the ring feeling like shackle some days. Called her yesterday, wait. 2 days ago? Signal flickered. Told her I needed space. My fork paused. Space. He nodded, eyes earnest. To figure this. Can't pledge vows with half a heart. Betrayal's shadow loomed. Not his, but fate's cruel jest. Elena, collateral in our awakening. Guilt gnawed, but his fingers laced mine over the flames. Anchoring. We'll talk when we're out. Honest. She deserves that. Night wrapped us tender. Sleeping entwined under stars. His heartbeat lullaby. Dreams wove sweet. Futures unfurling like aspen leaves. But dawn brought reckoning. Quad engines, closer now. A hunter's instinct prickling neck hairs. They tracked us, relentless. Gear up, Santi murmured. Kiss lingering on temple. Finish this. We broke toward the trailhead, packs lightened by meat, but pursuit nipped heels. By midday, they hemmed us in a box canyon, quads blocking egress, leader dismounting with a ledger. Debts, he claimed, for scaring off game. 5 grand, or we take it out in trade. Trade meaning blood or worse. Santiago faced them, rifle steady. Walk. Standoff stretched, sun baking stone. Then betrayal's twist. The wiry kid from the cave stepped forward, not with knife, but hands raised. Wait, I'm done. Feds wired me. Undercover? The leader spun, betrayal flashing to fury, and the melee reignited. Shots cracking, bodies colliding in dust devils. In the fray, Santi took a slug to the leg, crumpling with a cry that shredded me. I dragged him behind boulder, returning fire till barrels clicked empty. Sirens wailed distant, backup called by the plant. Poachers scattered, leader cuffed in the chaos, as rangers swarmed. Medevac chopper thumped in at dusk, Santiago pale on the litter, my hand in his. We made it, he rasped, squeezing. Together. I nodded, tears blurring the peaks. Always. The hospital in Durango smelled like bleach and regret. Fluorescent hum underscoring the beeps of monitors in Santiago's room. They'd stitched him up clean. Through and through on the quad, no artery hit, but he was doped on morphine, drifting in that hazy borderland between pain and peace. I slumped in the vinyl chair, scrubs borrowed from a nurse still crusty with trail grime, replaying the canyon showdown like a fever dream. The wiry kid's confession flipping the script, badges flashing as feds piled out of unmarked Tahoes, the leader's empire crumbling in a hail of zip ties and Miranda rights. Poaching ring, it turned out, trophy elk for black market horns, sides hustling meth runs over the passes. We'd stumbled into their web, unwitting heroes in a script we never auditioned for. Elena arrived at midnight, whirlwind in yoga pants and a hoodie, eyes red-rimmed from the red-eye flight out of Austin. She burst through the door like a force of nature, enveloping Santi in a hug that had him wincing but smiling. Mi amor, what the hell happened? Rangers called. Said you got shot by hillbillies? Her voice cracked, Texas twang laced with El Paso fire. I hung back, ghost in the corner. The kiss in the cave a fresh tattoo on my soul. He explained in fits, morphine slurring edges. The hunt, the threats, the final stand. Omitted the personal detonations, our confessions, the shift from bros to something seismic. She turned to me then, pulling me into a fierce embrace. Mateo, you saved him. Again. How do I thank you? Her warmth was genuine, no artifice, and guilt surged like bile. This woman, vibrant and vital, who'd built dreams with him brick by honest brick. I mumbled, just glad he's okay. Extricating gentle, her perfume, citrus and spice, clashing with the antiseptic sting. She crashed on the recliner, head on his good leg, while I stepped out for air, the mountain night crisp through the sliding doors. Stars mocked from their vault, indifferent witnesses. Dialed my own anchor. Mom back in Austin, voice steady as ever. You're coming home soon, Mijo? Weddings in 3 weeks. Wedding. The word landed like lead. Yeah, ma. Soon. Hung up, throat tight, the betrayal crystallizing. Not just to Elena, but to the tapestry of lives we'd woven. Santi's hand in mine under the blanket. Had it been delirium's gift, or Dawn's cruel tease? Morning brought discharge papers and a rental SUV. Elena driving while I rode shotgun. Santi dozing in back, leg propped on pillows. The drive to Denver was a study in strained normalcy. Her podcast on immigration reform droning low, my nods automatic, his occasional grunt punctuating the miles. Pit stop at a roadside diner. Neon sign flickering, eat, like a dare. And over green chili omelets, the fracture showed. So, bachelor party from hell, she quipped, forking eggs with forced levity. Worth it. Santi's eyes met mine in the mirror, loaded. Changed everything. She laughed, oblivious. For the better, I hope. No cold feet now, cowboy. He smiled thin, and I excused to the John, splashing water on a face that looked haunted in the speckled glass. Changed everything. But to what end? Airport goodbyes were a masterclass in compartmentalizing. Elena fussing over his crutches, me loading bags with mechanical efficiency. At security, he hugged her fierce. Then me, lingering, cologne and hospital mingling. Talk soon, he murmured, low enough for only us. Promise. I nodded, watching them vanish through the scanners, a hollow ache settling like frost. Back in Austin, the city swallowed me whole. Horns blaring on Mopac, heat wave baking the boulevards, life resuming its grind. I holed up in my South Congress walk-up, sketches piling like unanswered prayers. Elk silhouettes bleeding into intertwined forms, mountains cradling secrets. Work at the ad agency blurred, mock-ups for a craft beer campaign, all hoppy slogans and for rustic vibes. Nights, I ghosted bars on Rainy Street, nursing IPAs alone, swiping apps with half-hearted flicks. No sparks. None compared to the wildfire we'd ignited. Santi texted sporadically, hospital selfies with thumbs-up emojis, Elena's latest rant about wedding florists. Then, radio silence for days, the void screaming louder than words. I filled it with runs along Lady Bird Lake, feet pounding pavement till lungs burned, Barton Springs dips where the chill shocked confessions loose in bubbles. Mom cornered me at Sunday Mass, rosary clicking like judgment. You look lost, Mateo. That trip, did something happen? I deflected with lies about altitude sickness, but her eyes, sharp as agave spines, saw through. 2 weeks post-Rockies. The call came at 2 a.m., his voice wrecked over the line.
Mat.
I told her. Heart stopped, then raced. Everything. Pause heavy as lead. The feelings. Not the kiss, God, the kiss, but enough. Said I needed time. That the trip shook me loose. Elena's response? Fury. Then flight. Packed a bag. Crashed with her sister in Houston. She hates me, man. Says I've been checked out for months. That she deserves better. Guilt crashed, title. Santi, this is on me. I shouldn't have. No. He cut in fierce. It's on us. On me for ignoring the signs. Meet me? Tomorrow. Zilker. Neutral ground. Dawn couldn't break fast enough. Zilker Park sprawled green under October sun. Oaks shedding copper leaves like confetti for the damned. He waited on a bench by the lagoon. Crutches propped, flannel rumpled but eyes clear. No morphine haze, just raw Ramirez resolve. We walked slow, gravel crunching underfoot, ducks quacking oblivious. I love her, Matt, in a way, but it's not consuming. Not like this pull with you. His hand brushed mine, deliberate now, fingers lacing bold. Question is, can we build something real? Not just stolen moments in caves. We sat by the spring-fed pool, water murmuring ancient comforts, and unloaded. Fears of small-town whispers, his family devout, mine progressive but prying. Logistics of coming out in a state where rainbows still sparked debates. Laughter threaded the ache. Visions of joint Thanksgivings. His mom's mole clashing with my dad's brisket. Hope flickered, tentative candle in wind. But betrayal's shadow lingered, multi-headed hydra. Elena emailed me days later, said Santi, civil but scalpel sharp. I see it now, the way he lights for you. Hurts like hell, but I won't beg. Just don't break him worse than I did. Words seared, her grace a mirror to my complicity. I forwarded to him and we met again. At his apartment, Elena's touch absent in the unpacked boxes. She's right, he said, pulling me close on the couch, kiss deepening to anchor. We start clean.
No ghosts.
Weeks blurred into tentative rhythm. Coffee runs to epic, his rehab PT overlapping my lunch hours, stolen nights where we mapped each other slow. Reverent. No rush, just discovery. He came out to his brother first, over beers at the ranch. Tense silence, then backslap and bout time idiota. My folks took it with hugs and tamales. Mom whispering, knew since you painted that sunset boy in high school. Community cracked open, not always kind. Barbs at the shop where he fixed tractors, side eyes at my gallery show. But resilience rooted deep, Texas soil fertile for growth. Climax brewed subtle, not in bullets but boardrooms. Santi's AG degree landed him a gig with a sustainable ranch co-op. Elena's connections ironically smoothing the path via a mutual professor. She surfaced at a holiday mixer, poised, dating a soft-spoken litigator, raising a glass with wry smile. To new chapters. No venom, just humanism's quiet win. Paths diverging, not destroying. Yet conflict simmered internal. My fear he'd wake regretting, his doubt we'd weather storms. One night, post-argument over wedding invites he'd shredded. Hers, symbolically. He paced the kitchen, voice rising. What if it's not enough? What if I'm chasing nostalgia, not love? I grabbed his shirt, pulling close. Then we fight, like in the canyon. Together. He deflated, embracing tight. Yeah, together. Spring unfurled in Austin like a prodigal's welcome, bluebonnets carpeting hillsides, live oaks greening with promise, the air humming with cicada symphonies and the distant thrum of 6th Street revelry. 6 months post-Rockies, and our rhythm had solidified. Mornings tangled in his sheets, the scent of coffee brewing as sunlight slanted through blinds. Evenings on the porch swing, his head on my shoulder, plotting futures over Whataburger wrappers. The wedding that never was had morphed into our quiet ceremony. Vows exchanged at sunset on the ranch, under a live oak strung with papal picado. Family toasting with tears and tequila. No drama, just depth. His mom's blessing whispered in Spanish. My sister's toast cracking wise about finally catching your cowboy. But life, that sly narrator, always drafts sequels. The betrayal I'd braced for came not from him, but echoes. Santiago's old college buddy, a tech alum named Travis, blowing into town for a cattle auction. Slick as a used car salesman, with a jaw like chiseled granite and eyes that appraised like livestock. We met at a backyard barbacoa, smoke curling from the pit, laughter flowing easy till he cornered Santi by the cooler. Heard about the switch-up, Ram. Ballsy. But you sure it's not a phase? Elena was prime rib. This. His glance my way, dismissive. Mystery meat. Santi's laugh was ice. Watch it, Trav. That's my partner you're shading. Tension spiked, but Travis sloughed it off with backpats and yarns, lingering like a bad aftertaste. Texts followed. Invites to poker nights, man-to-man chats over brews. I saw the fracture. Santi withdrawing into silences, scrolling old photos late. The straight world pull testing our moorings. Climax crested one humid July eve. Thunderstorm brewing as we argued in the kitchen. Dishes clattering like thunderclaps. He's just a friend, Santi insisted, voice edged. Pushing me to question? That's on you, Matt. Your insecurities talking. I flung the sponge into the sink, suds splashing. No, it's his poison. Making you doubt us, like we're some experiment. Lightning forked outside, illuminating his face. Torment etched deep. Maybe it is. What if I missed that life? The ease, the expectations. With you, it's work. Beautiful, but work. The words gutted, betrayal's blade twisting slow. I grabbed keys, storming into the downpour, wipers slashing frantic as I drove aimless. Loop 1 to nowhere, radio blasting Springsteen's Thunder Road like accusation. Hours later, pulled over on a shoulder by Lake Travis. Phone buzzed. His text, simple. Come home, please. Home. The word anchored, pulling me back through sheets of rain. He waited on the stoop, soaked and contrite, crutches long discarded but vulnerability raw. I'm an asshole, he started, pulling me under the awning. Travis stirred shit, yeah, but it's my head, old tapes playing. Scared I'll fail you, like I failed her. I cupped his face, rain dripping from lashes. We fail together. That's the deal. Kiss sealed it, fierce and forgiving, thunder rumbling benediction. Dawn brought clarity. Therapy sessions for him, unpacking the straight guy script etched since boyhood. Couples hikes in the hill country, retracing boyhood trails with adult eyes. Travis faded, out of town on some oil gig, his echo a lesson in boundaries. Humanism bloomed in the margins, volunteering at the LGBTQ Center, where Santi shared his story to wide-eyed kids, his voice steady. It's okay to rewrite the map, just don't erase the heart. Summer waned into fall, Our first anniversary marked with elk steaks on the grill. Nod to origins. Under that same rocky sky we'd fled. Elena even sent a card, her handwriting looping graceful. Heard you bagged the big one. Proud of you both. No bitterness, just grace. A thread in the human weave, frayed but enduring. Now, as winter whispers at the door, Santi beside me on the couch, sketchpad in lap. Our coffee table a chaos of charcoals and coasters. I trace the scar on his thigh, faint silver against bronze. Regrets? I ask, half joking. He turns, eyes warm as hearthfire. Only that we waited so long. His kiss is answer enough, deep and certain, the world outside fading to white noise. In this American heartland, flawed, fierce, boundless, we've carved our claim. Not perfect, but profoundly ours. And in the quiet after, as his breathing evens to sleep, I know, the hunt never ends, but the finding, that's the grace.